For most of my life, I was never a big traveler. I went to India pretty often as a kid because I had family in India. Once in a while, I'd go to Cancun, and then maybe we'd go drive to Toronto or something. That was kind of the extent of my travel growing up as a kid. But then once I got into my late 20s, that was when I started traveling a little bit more. And this travel started to happen more because I was invited to travel for work. And I was always hesitant to travel because I never really wanted to spend the money on travel. But when I was able to go for work and have it as a business expense, now it made more sense for me to travel. But one of the things that I learned as I was traveling is I was able to, number one, meet more people, but I was also able to see different business opportunities that I wasn't able to see when I was just in my office. And it sounds weird saying this because I'm not a huge fan of necessarily just going to conferences and doing that fake networking where you're just passing out business cards with people that don't care. I don't like doing that. But there is value in going to events where you know you're going to be able to meet certain types of people and you can talk to people and you can learn how different people do certain things. And not only that, you'll see different cultures in different parts of even the country that you're living in. Like for me, when I started spending time in SoCal, San Diego and LA, I was shocked because the culture in San Diego and LA is very different than Detroit. And then when I got to spend time in Manhattan, I was shocked again because the culture in Manhattan is very different than the culture in LA, which is very different than the culture in Detroit. And you start to realize, wow, people do business very different there versus there versus there. And now for me, I'm learning about how business is done every different place so I can apply it to my own. And this has helped me make a lot more money, but also understand the way different people operate, the way different people spend money, the way different people think about money, especially because, well, everything that we do at Briefs Media is about financial education. Our goal is to help people be better with money, and it helps to understand how different people approach financial situations differently because people in different parts of the country look at money very differently. And if you're not sure what Briefs Media is the company that we run. We have a product called Market Briefs. This is our flagship newsletter. It is a free newsletter where every day my team is working to break down what's happening in things like the economy, the housing market, the stock market, crypto, and the global economy into a fun, witty, and easy to read newsletter. You can read Market Briefs in less than 5 minutes every morning, and it's completely free. So if you haven't joined Market Briefs yet and you want to join, it's completely free. I got the link to how you can join down in the description below, where you can go to briefs.co/market. That's briefs.co/market. And finally, last but not least, is number 11, make some practical purchases. Look, as you're starting your wealth journey, what you're going to realize is some people hate it when you spend money at Starbucks. Some people hate it when you spend money buying extra guac when you can make the guac a whole lot cheaper. And what you want to also understand is that the reason why people are broke is not because they buy Starbucks. It's not because they pay for extra guac. It's because their whole finances are out of whack. And what you'll realize then is that there's a certain time for you to go out and spend money at things like Starbucks and buy that extra guac. And there are certain times where it makes more sense for you to just make it at home. And this is where now you can start to realize on the more practical side, maybe it makes sense for me to buy my avocados myself, because now you can save a lot of money by buying the avocados yourself or cooking yourself. There will be other times where you're going out for an experience and now you want to go out and buy the extra guac, you want to go out and buy the coffee, you want to go out and buy the tea, fine. But for your daily consumption, you can save a lot of money, especially as you're in the foundational part of building your wealth by just making things at home. So from the practical side, that means buying your avocados, get yourself a tea kettle, and make these things at home. That way you can save that money, especially in the early stages. As you start to make more money, if you can afford it, go out and buy whatever the heck you want. I don't care if you're buying Starbucks. I don't care if you're buying extra guac. Just make sure you can afford the extra guac first. And I'll leave you with kind of a funny story. Last weekend, my parents told me that they did something for the first time in this country that they've never done before. And I said, what's that? And they told me that they went out to an Indian tea house. Now, just so you know, in the Indian culture, drinking tea, some people like to call it chai. In Punjabi, my native language, we call it cha. This is a staple. Drinking Indian tea is a staple in our culture. And my parents, my mom especially, drinks her chai, multiple times a day, every day. And so now they told me that for the first time of them being in America, they went to an Indian tea house and they drank tea. And it was a funny story because my mom said, I couldn't believe how expensive it was. I said, what happened? She said, we ordered 2 teas, 2 chas with a dessert. And she's like, it cost $10. I was like, $10? That doesn't sound too bad. She's like, yeah, $10. It was crazy. I was like, oh yeah, that's a lot of money. Then she's telling me that they go to sit down. The guy delivers them the tea. They give them 1 cup of tea and 1 dessert. And she's like, where's the other cup of tea? And he said, oh, sorry, I must have messed up the order. I only rang you up for 1 cup of tea and 1 dessert. So the $10 she paid wasn't for 2 cups of tea and 1 dessert. it was 1 cup of tea and 1 dessert, and she thought that was really expensive. It would have cost 15 or 16 bucks for 2 cups of tea and 1 dessert. So kind of a funny story where, yeah, sometimes it's more practical for you to make things at home, and you got to figure out when is the right time for you to do that, because sometimes it's cheaper to make the guac at home. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.